An East Texas father says his son died in vain when he was murdered in 2005.
Michael Pee Wee Walker was a code enforcement officer for the City of Commerce. He was murdered while trying to issue a citation for code violations at a house. His killer, Adam Ward, was put to death last week for gunning Walker down. Walker's father says justice has been served, but only in part. KLTV 7 investigates the house on Caddo Street.
Dick Walker doesn't come to the cemetery as often as he used to.
See, and they put his deer. He's a hunter.
He's trying to find closure for his son's death, but this dilapidated house near the center of town makes it hard.
And I said, when is something going to be done about this house to legitimize my son's death? Because up to this point, he has died for nothing. Nothing.
The house looms at the center of a deadly encounter between code enforcement officer Michael Pee Wee Walker and his murderer, Adam Ward. On June 13, 2005, Michael was on the job investigating reported health and safety code violations at this house on Caddo Street. Michael was unarmed.
The house is non-compliant. It's about to fall down. It's looked that way for years. It's propped up on the corners by these poles. The backyard until recently was full of junk.
While Michael was taking pictures, preparing to issue a code violation citation, Adam Ward emerged and confronted the officer in a clash that turned fatal.
And when I wasn't able to save him that morning, it tore me up.
Dick worked part-time as a paramedic then. He couldn't have imagined the emergency call he'd respond to was for his own child.
I was able to stroke his hair and his head and tell him goodbye.
Adam Ward was arrested for Michael's death and after several trials and appeals was placed on death row in 2007. After 8 years there, the state of Texas executed him by lethal injection last Tuesday. But for a grieving father, closure is incomplete because what remains at the center of this tragic conflict that left a father of 2 dead and another man with a death penalty is this house in disrepair.
I still have anger towards the city, obviously. I'll have anger till I see those bulldozers tearing down the house and justifying my son's death.
Justice because the citation Michael was trying to issue was never served. Not that day and not for the next 11 years. We obtained city records on the Ward house. They date back to 1995, 10 years before Michael's death. The city declares the structure unsafe, dangerous, and hazardous, and warns in multiple letters this structure must be repaired or demolished within 45 days. But in the records we were provided, there's no evidence of repairs or that a final decision was ever made. Adam Ward's father, Ralph Ward, still lives in the home. For Dick, it's a constant reminder.
It took me about 5 years to drive by there.
In 2001, records show the city notified Ralph Ward that a public hearing would be held to consider condemnation or demolition of the house. We approached the City of Commerce to find out why codes aren't being enforced.
City officials didn't want to talk about this case on camera out of respect for confidentiality with Ralph Ward, but they say he has been cooperating with officials since August of 2015, and they say at this time no legal action has been taken.
We also tried to reach Ward in person, but received no response. Dick says he's been asking the city for years.
A year after the shooting, I asked him, was he going to file that ticket? Was he going to file any ticket? And he said no. And I said, why? And he said, because I'm scared.
Scared, he says, that a tragedy could repeat.
You're sitting there telling a grieving father, you don't want anybody else hurt, serving a ticket that you sent my son out to work on.
Something Dick says his dedicated son would not have stood for.
Name in a room after him, putting a plaque in the city hall is nice. But that doesn't mean he died for anything. He died doing his job, and nobody has followed through since. Now, maybe they will this time, maybe.
We started this investigation back in January and have been following up ever since. Yesterday, the Commerce City Attorney Jay Garrett said over the phone that legal action is now imminent and that a public nuisance suit should be filed officially in this case by next week.
The Code Enforcement Association of Texas told us back in 2005 that Michael Walker was the first code enforcement officer ever to be killed on duty in the state. To watch our original coverage of the murder investigation, we've posted a link on our website. Just go to kltv.com and click on the big red box.